Hey, we got Crawford, Canelo. I'm looking forward to it. Even though they're both almost 40, I'm looking forward. It's a good matchup. But just show up and...
You say, I want Canelo. Is there anybody in the camp that would say, you're not ready for this?
That's a big boy. He's strong. That's a conversation. It's not just, oh, man, you will whoop his ass.
Like yes, that. Man type
yeah,
stuff.
I'm not worried about Canelo. I'm not thinking about Canelo.
You know, if 168 pounds, I think it's Canelo, but it's Canelo better technique because 50-50.
The biggest boxing event is only a few months away. Fans are excited to see two top fighters face off, both known for their long careers full of victories and tough battles. At the same time, Dimitri Bivol, who was defeated by Canelo Alvarez, gave his honest opinion about the possible match between Canelo and Terence Crawford, after hearing it might be officially announced soon.
It's not interesting to see the fight when one person doesn't want to win at all. But it was hard to fight for Canelo because he was always aiming, and even the skull didn't throw punches, and it's hard to catch him. You know, he's just moving. But his movement is good, to be honest.
Yeah. He begins by discussing Canelo's recent fight with William Smith, saying Smith didn't seem focused on winning. It was a tough fight for Canelo, because Smith barely threw any punches, which made it hard for Canelo to land clean shots. Bivol mentioned that while Smith moved well, it wasn't enough to truly challenge Canelo.
Destiny, because he's a champion and he's a hard puncher, and guys just scared to risk too much. They don't throw punches because it's a risk.
Bivol then shifts his focus to Canelo's possible fight with Crawford, saying Crawford will bring a different attitude. He believes Crawford will be more aggressive than Canelo's recent opponents, and will come in with a true champion's mindset. Bivol expects the fight to be more exciting because Crawford's fighting style is more active and intense compared to the quieter approach Canelo has faced lately.
I think Crawford wants this fight a lot. He wants this fight, and I think he will be more active than Canelo's previous opponent, and he has different mentality. He has champion mentality. I think fight will be much more interesting.
What do you make of the weight in that fight, the weight difference?
I think Crawford will not let Canelo just walking on the ring when he wants.
Bivol also talked about the weight difference between Canelo and Crawford, saying Crawford won't let Canelo control the fight like he usually does. He thinks Crawford will keep the pressure on, and won't give Canelo the breaks he had against Smith. When asked who he thinks will win, Bivol didn't choose a side, calling it a very interesting matchup, and saying we'll have to wait and see.
We could see this fight. Canelo did everything. When he wanna rest, he could rest easy, you know, in this fight. Yeah, of course, when he wants to work, that guy didn't give him work. It's just rest. And I think with Crawford, it will be harder to rest.
Who do you think wins?
I don't know. It's a very interesting fight, but...
Former American boxing champ Mikey Garcia, who held several world titles, has warned that Canelo's power, especially his uppercuts, could seriously hurt Terence Crawford. He believes that if Crawford gets caught with a strong shot, he might switch to a defensive style, and even change to a southpaw stance to avoid further damage. Garcia adds that no amount of money is worth risking injuries that could change a fighter's life forever.
It's a shot from Canelo. One of those uppercuts from Gia, or those...
He could get dropped, or he feels it enough to be like, this, I'm boxing, and goes on the bicycle and turns southpaw for the rest of the night. And I wouldn't blame him either. Fuck it, you're gonna go in there, collect your paycheck at that point.
Right.
You're not gonna go get hurt.
Right.
What good is it to get fucking 20, 30 million if you are fucking hurt physically, end up in the hospital and hurt just physically, life-changing, you don't want that shit.
Even with the risks involved, Garcia believes Crawford is a strong contender because of his skill and ring intelligence. He says that if Crawford manages to beat Canelo, he deserves a spot among the top 3 greatest boxers in history, which would be an incredible achievement.
Okay, hurt him, it could be life-changing.
Good, he's that big, fool. One punch could knock him out bad enough to hurt his eye socket or detached retina. You never know.
Right.
So no one wants that shit.
Crawford said if he beats him, he's in the top 3 GOATs of all time.
Oh, for sure. If Crawford beats Canelo, then for sure, he'll motherfucking tops in the world, bro. And he actually does have a chance. It's not like he doesn't have a chance. don't be too surprised if he pulls it off in the decision.
Following his recent win, Canelo Alvarez is aiming for another big victory. He mentioned that while he's excited to celebrate after beating Terence Crawford, he knows the fight will be tough and exciting. Canelo respects Crawford's talent and toughness, but feels confident he'll come out on top. He sees this fight as a major challenge, and believes it's his chance to prove once more that he's the best.
That's a mediocre mind. That's a mediocre mind because they come just to survive, to go to the 12th round. That's a mediocre mind. You need to put a good fight there and put great show. You know what I mean?
Do you think Crawford will employ the same tactics?
I hope not. I hope not because the people deserve a good fight.
What do you make of the Crawford fight next?
Huh?
How excited are you for the Crawford fight?
I'm excited. I'm gonna enjoy this win.
Daniel Cormier reacted to the news of the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford super fight by saying Canelo's recent performance wasn't as exciting as fans had hoped. He pointed out that when a strong fighter like Canelo faces someone who doesn't fight back much, the match tends to be less entertaining. While Canelo still won the fight, it didn't live up to the usual excitement or the hype that fans expect from him.
Canelo Alvarez fights, and at times, when a guy is as dominant as Canelo, his dance partner will not engage or will not fight at the level that you expect a championship level boxer to fight at because of the fear, the worry of what may happen. Nobody wants to become a highlight. Last night, Canelo Alvarez had a fight. That was essentially the case. The guy kind of ran the whole time, and Canelo, while winning, it wasn't the performance that makes you go, oh my God, I love this guy. You know Canelo is box office. We know Canelo's money, but you don't have a dance partner. It's hard to make those memories. The memory coming out of that fight last night was that at the end of...
At the same time, Cormier notes that Canelo's star power remains strong. He's still a major draw and huge name in the sport, but without a tough opponent to challenge him, it's hard to create memorable moments. Cormier also highlights the size difference between the fighters, saying Crawford, who started at a lighter weight, has now grown into someone likely to compete between 154 and 160 pounds. He also mentions the excitement around the upcoming TV deals and broadcast rights, showing just how big this event will be.
Official. Canelo Alvarez will now fight Terence Crawford September 12th, Allegiant Stadium. He'll defend this Ring Magazine championship against Bud, giving Bud an opportunity to become a three-time world champion, 3 divisions, super world champion, Mr. Everything. Clearly, they are not the same size. Terence Crawford used to be a small guy. Now he's grown into what will be about a 154-pounder, I'd imagine. They'd fight around 154, 160. Luis, I would love if you can give me what weight classes me contest.
Cormier also hints at a preview for the upcoming UFC 315 breakdown, likely pointing to a major UFC event happening around the same time as this fight. This adds even more excitement to what's shaping up to be a thrilling season for combat sports.
By the time Terence Crawford and Canelo fight, Bud will be 36, Canelo will be 34 years old. Now, I'm not saying those guys are done. By no means. They're still the 2 best boxers in the world. But imagine if we got those guys in their late 20s, right? Or 3 to 4 years ago. It is still going to be a monster. I don't imagine it's going to be anything less than super successful. But should it have happened a couple years ago? They're just as good as they've always been. Crawford is 41-0, 31 KOs. Going up to 154, going to fight Canelo at 154. He's won world titles at lightweight, super lightweight, welterweight, and super welterweight. So he's been a champion everywhere. But Bud's going to make Canelo fight at 54. I don't know that Canelo's been fighting at 54 for a while. Remember all those B-ball fights were up at like 175 for Canelo Alvarez. They're 2 of the best.
Daniel Cormier spoke about the timing of the much-awaited fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, saying many fans believe it's happening a few years later than it should have. Still, Cormier thinks the fight will be a huge success since both fighters are still performing at the highest level. Crawford is moving up to 154 pounds, while Canelo has fought as heavy as 175 pounds against opponents like Bivol. However, this fight will take place at 168 lbs. Cormier points out the challenge for both, since Canelo hasn't been at 154 pounds in a long time, and Crawford is adjusting his weight to make the match happen.
Phenomenal fighters. They're both still in their prime. Most UFC champions aren't even under 30. I don't know that we have one under 30 male champion right now. So they're in their athletic prime, right? 30 to 35. But a couple years ago, it might have had a little more steam because they didn't have that performance like Canelo had last night. With that being said, Dana White's going to promote this thing. And because Dana White is going to promote this thing, I feel like it'll bring a different level of interest into the UFC. Ilya Topuria is 20. Canelo has gotten, he's not as good as he was when he was fighting at 154, 160, because he's a little bigger, carrying more muscle. But I think it's going to be a blockbuster event. It's going to be one of the biggest pay-per-views we've ever seen. It's going to be highly competitive. And I do believe that that added element that Dana's going to be promoting, that Riyadh season is going to be promoting, is going to make more people tap in to what's going on in this big fight. They're going to sell out Allegiant Stadium. I'm going to be there for them.
Cormier agrees that the fight will still be massive, especially with Dana White helping to promote it, which will draw even more attention from both boxing and UFC fans. He expects it to become one of the biggest pay-per-view events ever.
He's a great guy. His sons are tremendous wrestlers, boxers. They do everything. I know Terence from the wrestling. I know how motivated he is to fight this fight. I know that Canelo Alvarez is as good as anyone we've seen in a long time. True legend of boxing. It's a massive fight. I hope that it can deliver what and match or exceed the expectations.
Teofimo Lopez, who recently stepped into the ring, shared his thoughts on the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight, showing respect for Crawford's mindset while also recognizing the tough challenge he'll face against Canelo.
Crawford, Canelo, who you got?
Crawford, Canelo? I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yep.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, they say he's a dog. He's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe that's just his mental.
However, Teofimo said that Crawford is incredibly tough and determined. He remembered a moment when Crawford was hurt but still pushed forward, showing his strong fighting spirit. This shows that Crawford has the heart of a true champion who keeps going no matter what comes his way.
Mentality.
Hey, let's see. Only one way to find out till that day comes.
It's the only way, but I definitely think that it's a great fight overall. You know, black and brown is how you get down.
That's right.
Roy Jones Jr. recently gave his strong opinion on the expected September fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford following Canelo's win over William Skull. When asked who he thinks will win, Roy said it's tough to predict and depends on Canelo's game plan. He explained that if Canelo tries to outbox Crawford, he'll lose because Crawford is simply better at that style. But if Canelo fights with aggression, intensity, and something to prove instead of trying to be slick, Roy believes he has a real shot at winning. Hashtag.
You know, it's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo comes to.
Boxer Hamza Shiraz said in a media talk that Canelo did what was required to win, but criticized Skull for his negative approach and lack of aggression. He added that to beat someone like Canelo you need to take control, just like Dimitri Bivol did. Shiraz also mentioned that being too defensive in the ring, especially against a champion, shows a lack of confidence.
He done what he had to do, Canelo, but in terms of William Skull, I think easier said than done. I've not been in the position myself, so this is just kind of guesstimating, but I think if I was in the Canelo, I would have just had it out with him, man. Go out on your shield. You can already tell once they start moving around the ring, they've got the negative mindset because they know, we know, when you're fighting a champion like Canelo, you have to dominate. You have to do what Bivol done to him, and you have to be very, very smart in the way you do it, but aggressive as well. You can't be negative.
When asked if he sees Canelo versus Terence Crawford as the next big fight, Shiraz confidently said that Canelo would knock out Crawford. He explained that the size and weight difference is just too big to ignore. While he acknowledged Crawford's skill, he believes jumping from 147 to 168 pounds is too much even for someone as talented as Crawford.
You know, things are getting a bit closer because a lot of people are saying, look, Canelo's a bigger guy, he should win by size, but for you, how does that fight play out?
I think Canelo does win by knockout. I think he does win by knockout, and that's only because of the weight. You can't jump up from 54 to 68 fighting the best of the best, even though you're the best yourself. It's too much of a weight jump, man. But listen, you never know. You can't write off Crawford, but I think Canelo will knock him out.
Do you feel like things are starting to heat up? A lot of people think so. Meanwhile, Israel Madrimov gave a bold prediction about the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight. He said that while Canelo might have the advantage at 168 pounds due to his size and power, Crawford brings something different to the table. Madrimov believes that if the fight goes all 12 rounds, Crawford's sharper technique, higher ring IQ, and experience could help him outbox Canelo.
If 12 rounds, Crawford win, I think.
Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, what do you think about that fight if they did fight? Looks like it's up for September.
Good fight. You know, if 168 pounds, I think it's Canelo, but it's Canelo better technique because 50-50. If 12 rounds, Crawford win, I think.
However, if the fight ends before going the distance, then Canelo's knockout power could take over and give him the edge. Crawford's unique style comes from a mix of power, smart thinking, and experience, which lets him adjust during the fight. Madrimov sees this matchup as a 50-50 battle where either fighter could win depending on how things play out in the ring.
If knockout, it's Canelo.
What makes Crawford so difficult to fight against?
He has power, smart, in more practical.
He has more experience.
On the other hand, former Panamanian boxing legend Roberto Duran shared his advice on how Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. Duran believes Crawford's key to victory is staying busy, constantly throwing punches, and using his speed and versatility to confuse Canelo. He stressed that Crawford needs to keep Canelo guessing while avoiding heavy shots. According to Duran, Crawford must keep the pressure on, never letting Canelo settle and stay aggressive from start to finish. He says this is the way Crawford can come out on top in what's expected to be a tough and intense battle.
¿Qué tiene que hacer Crawford para ganar la pelea contra Canelo subiendo de peso, como tú subiste de peso muchas veces?
Es una pelea muy dura, pero depende de cómo venga el hombre. Tiene que voltear y bajarse, confundirlo. Te paga, dale, y él piensa que tú te vas a pagar y le boxea. El otro asalto, él piensa que tú le vas a boxear y te le paga, todo lo tiene confundido.
Excitement is building as we move closer to the big showdown between Crawford and Canelo. Do you think Canelo can deal with Crawford's speed and skill in the ring? Could this be the biggest test of Canelo's career? Is this a legendary moment in the making or a risky move that could backfire? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more fight breakdowns and honest takes from the boxing world.